Welcome to the Teacher's Lounge, a platform where we uncover a deeper, more honest view of the teaching profession. And today, in this space, we are joined by a teacher who has walked that path for 27 years with remarkable clarity, grace, and impact. Our guest is Mrs. Bipasha Gupta, currently the head of the English faculty at one of the most prestigious and oldest schools, founded in 1860 in the historic Fort area of Mumbai. Over the years, she has shaped numerous young minds at some of the most reputed schools across India. Outside the classroom, she is an avid reader, an enthusiastic cook, and according to one of her students, an unflinching bullshit detector. So let us all welcome Mrs. Gupta to the Teacher's Lounge today. Hi, Bipasha.
Hi, thanks, Indrani. Thanks.
My pleasure. Okay, so now to begin the conversation, we will step into the first segment, that is the 5 exploratory questions that will help us explore more about your journey as a teacher through your responses. So, my first question for you is, you have taught in some of the finest schools in the country and now lead one of the most respected English faculties in Mumbai. So, let's go back a little. What first pulled you into this profession 27 years back, and how has the choice of joining this profession shaped the person you are today?
Now, I go back a little behind or before 27 years.
Okay.
So what happened was, when we were growing up, we were often told, and that was part of our conditioning and upbringing, that, okay, for girls, teaching is a great profession. Because if you have to move with your husband, it works, and you get vacations which will align itself with your children's vacations and things like that. So I kind of, after getting married, after my graduation, I did my post-graduation, and I thought that probably being a teacher would be the best. So it wasn't, to be very honest, it wasn't a very well thought out plan, or it wasn't something that I had kind of designed for myself. So I did it more out of probably for the sake of convenience. I'm being very honest now. Okay. And then I did my B.Ed, from Loreto College, Calcutta, when I was in Calcutta for 10 years between, I think, 2003 to, between 1993 to 2003.
Okay.
And then I got into working there. Now, it was an eye-opener when we began doing our B.Ed. Although people don't attach much value to B.Ed now, because they say that a lot of things that we study in our B.Ed course becomes pretty redundant, because, school life and everyday classroom experience is very different. And that's always the case. What you learn theoretically and what you practice in class are two different things.
Two different things.
But anyhow, when we were doing our B.Ed, and we did it under a very, very strict, lady called Sister Gupsi. She was an Irish nun, but Indophile, loved India to bits. And she kind of told us that this profession is not for the faint-hearted. It will require immense fortitude, tremendous resilience. And I still remember the first day when we were in her class, she said that all of you kindly, the first requirement is not whether you are a good student or whether you are a very articulate person, but do you have a skin or a hide as thick as a crocodile's or a hippopotamus? So we were shocked. So she said, you just don't know what you have signed up for, and I don't intend to frighten you, but it's always good to know the downside before you actually start enjoying the rewards, that the profession brings. And she was very right, because, after I graduated from Loreto, and my academic credentials were pretty good. And I thought I was cat's whiskers. So people will, lay out a red carpet to get me. But that was not the case. So, and in Calcutta particular, getting a job is very difficult. In fact, there is a joke in Calcutta. They say that, you know, you either, when a person retires or if he dies, only then a vacancy comes up. Because Calcutta, there are things like, the job market is a little weak. And, or if the person retires, he may have a niece, nephew, sister, or someone lined up for the position. So the chances are. And I was very clear that I'm not going to work for any ragtag place. I don't mean to demean any particular institution, but I needed to work in a place where I could learn because I still consider myself, even till this date, a learner. So if there is no value addition, then simply by going and doing something and then drawing a salary at the end of the month was not something I was looking out for. So anyway, I'll just tell you a small incident if you have the time.
Of course.
So the first time, I applied for a job, they told me, go and drop your CVs. So I went to a very reputed school in Calcutta. I don't wish to take the name because the school is very well reputed. Some of my dear friends work there. And anyway, so I walked in and it was during vacations and the principal was in office. And I think the watchman or the security, I don't know, or her secretary, I can't recollect now, was very kind, or maybe he or she was unmindful. They just allowed me entry into the principal's office.
Okay.
So I walked in with my papers and I told her that Mrs. So-and-so, I've come here for a job if you have one. So I'm leaving my papers behind. So she doesn't look at me. She looked at some gentleman who was standing next to her and she asked that gentleman who allowed her inside. And yes, so and that lady incidentally was known to me. Like she lived in the same society where I was living in Calcutta. Otherwise, we would be sharing a good morning and a hello and all that. So I was shocked. I was hurt. I mean, like I was much younger then. So my eyes welled up and I felt, oh my, look at that. And the gentleman was extremely apologetic. He said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. And yes, how did you enter? So I said, I entered through the door. So, no, that's not what I meant. I mean, like, who allowed you entry? So I said, the gentleman sitting outside. So, okay, I'll have a word with him now, madam. You please leave. Kindly give me the papers. If there's a vacancy, we'll get in touch and all that. You can't imagine when I came out, my eyes had welled up because I was so insulted.
Yes.
And then I called systems. I mean, like I went to a phone booth. We didn't have, mobile phones then back in 1990s. And I told his sister this has happened. So she said, okay, I'm not surprised. But what did I tell you? Is your height thick enough now or has it thickened a little bit? So she said that this is what is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So please do not think that you are God's gift to the earth. You will meet all kinds of people. Rather take it as a learning experience. Don't hold anything against her. You don't know what she might be going through at that point in time. Maybe the trustees are sitting on her head and, are about to pull the trigger, whatever, because this is not normal human behavior or reaction. So this is how I learned. But fortunately for me, after that, doors opened up. I mean, like, I got to work in some of the best schools in Kolkata. And then even when I came over to Mumbai, and that I will largely, put to God's grace. And probably the integrity, probably, and hard work which I brought, maybe people spotted that, I don't know. But every place was a new beginning for me. So when I relocated to Mumbai, it wasn't that, people of Mumbai knew how I worked in Kolkata. But I suppose it's just God's immense kindness and grace that I did get opportunities in some of the best schools to work in. And that's how it began. And, as I said, because it wasn't so planned, but when I actually went into teaching, I found it immensely rewarding. I'm not talking about the remuneration part of it, okay? That is one part of the story. Rewarding, as in, I felt almost the world opened up to me because it's just not the children, it's their environment, their friends, their families. Everyone is a stakeholder. And you are interacting not only with the child in the classroom, which is, of course, the primary place of interaction. You're interacting with a single mother. You're interacting with probably a father who's lost his job. You're interacting with, people who are dealing with bereavement. Or also people who are extremely hedonistic, they don't even know the reality of the world outside. So that itself has been a constant learning, curve. And that is why I never wanted to get into anything else but teach. Many people ask me that, why don't you do something else? So I said, yeah, maybe I'm not so ambitious. I don't know. But also the fact is that the joy I get by walking into the classroom and striking a conversation and then getting to hear, and because they have to teach us so much now.
Yeah.
It's just not about, I don't think a teacher is actually a misnomer in my case. I
Right.
don't think I'm a teacher. I'm more like a guide, a friend. Yeah, somebody who facilitates probably to some
Yes.
extent. But you see, again, when it comes to facilitation too, uh, there are enough facilitators now. AI is there.
Absolutely.
The World Wide Web is there.
Mm.
So I remember I tell my team too that what is it that you're getting that they will listen to you, which they don't already have access to. So figure that out first before you get into class. These children are extremely tech savvy, much more savvier than what we are.
Mm.
So what is it that you are bringing that they will sit for 40 minutes and listen to? This is a question I ask myself too. So that is how my journey has been.
Wonderful. I think the response that you gave just now speaks a lot about you as an English teacher, because an English teacher, in my opinion, is a storyteller, a magician. And the way you spoke, Bipasha, I know what exactly you must be doing in the classroom and how the students must be responding or the reacting when you teach in the class. Wonderful. Okay, so we move on to the next question. Teaching as such often feels like a calling, but it also brings its own surprises. So, can you recall a moment, in the last 27 years of your career when something unexpected happened? And how did you find your way through it and the lesson it left with you?
Uh, well, honestly, again, I can't recollect anything very, very kind of, earth shattering. But there have been small little instances, which
Mm.
keep happening. And that partly is because, again, we may be teachers, we may be whatever.
Mm.
But the fact is that a lot of what is happening in my students' life is not known.
Mm.
It's not a deliberate omission,
Mm.
but maybe there are families who don't want to share certain things, or there may be situations where probably the school counselor feels it's best left confidential. And surprises, like I tell you, I think around 10 years back. After that, I think we have also become extremely cautious, when we are in the classroom.
Mm.
Not to take away the natural flow, but
Mm.
at the same time, uh, simple things like, when a conversation moves towards politics or religion,
Mm. Mm.
you have to be extremely careful. So it
Yeah.
so happened that there was a student in the class, I think in grade 10 or something, who was consistently behind her schedule, her work. Otherwise, she seemed to be absolutely happy-go-lucky, but for some reason, work was not coming. There was a kind of an apathy in the class and all that. And I normally don't lose my temper, but one day, I mean, if I really got angry, and I told her that, I need to call your mother and speak to her because this is just not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then she burst into tears. And I was feeling very honestly scared that what did I say that, would elicit this kind of reaction.
Mm.
And then some of her friends, these children are also very, very like, protective and all. So
Mm.
they said, please come out of the classroom. By then I had thought that, I had made some great blunder. And they said, her mother passed away. So
Oh.
when you said that, okay. Now I went back very contrite and, after the class, I pulled her out. I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry, child. I didn't know. And I gave her a hug and all that. Fine. Now all that happened. And then after, some hours later, I saw her and she was back to normal, happy and all that. So then I had a word with her class teacher. I said, like, if she's so emotionally, still vulnerable, Why didn't you share it with us? Because today I said that I need to call your mother in. This is not working. So she said, Mrs. Gupta, she has been pulling this trick for the last 3 years. The mother has passed away 3 years back.
Oh my.
And this is one thing, that victim card she's playing all the time. And then again, as I said, as I say, this is all learning for us. So then what I told the child later was that I don't think, I'm sorry, it's going to be a difficult conversation, but I don't think your mother would have been very proud of what you're doing, because you are still using her to play the victim. And I'm sure no mother would like to raise her child to be a victim all his or her life. That's the worst place to be in. So please don't do it. Because forget about me being fooled and all that, that's all right. That's okay. But what have you done to yourself? I mean, and what have you done to the memory of your mother, who probably would have wanted you to grow up into a very fine human being? Not this, certainly. So when she apologized, and after that, apparently it stopped, because it had by then, become public. But the point is that these are these small little things. Okay, then another thing, like suppose I go into a class and they ask me questions, I do. Because children are very smart these days. Yeah. So how do I tackle it? Indrani, often I spend inordinate amount of times maybe watching reels or Googling things that I'm not very familiar with, lest I have no answer to a question. But what I see is sometimes what works beautifully is when you're just very honest with them to say, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And then they kind of take you under their wing and they start explaining. Yeah. Maybe that's not the full picture, but at least they respect the teacher for being honest.
Yes.
Instead of trying to, act.
Right. And pretending to know and right.
Pretense. And that's something they see through very. So that's my only fear. That again, so I was having a word with my principal, and I remember I told her that, I feel very nervous. And I often tell them that, but I don't know, let me look up and I'll get back to you. So she was with a tongue in cheek, she said, okay, now don't make that a habit. Every time you can't be saying, I don't know. So ever since that, I spent quite a lot of time at least listening or reading about things which are out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like science and technology are not up my sleeve. So I really have to kind of, do a bit of reading and understanding. Because nowadays children talk about all things. It's just not limited to the subject.
Subject, true. And it's fine if you don't know about something, and being honest is always better and safer. Right. Great. Right. Okay. So the challenges and unexpected twists and turns we face as teachers. And but then it is also those little everyday practices that linger long after the lesson in the minds of the students. So is there one simple teaching practice that, in your experience, made a real difference for your students? It can be a best practice, I'm sure, because many of them still remember you, not just as an English teacher, but as a storyteller, or maybe a magician, like I said. Most of the English teachers are, who brought real magic into the classroom. So can you share one of those practices?
See, again, one thing which I did not take away very well from my B.Ed classes and subsequently was writing of lesson plans. Because I feel that when life has no structure, to structure a lesson is doing a great disservice to the class. Because I go with a structure. And in fact, I was reading up an essay, by John Taylor Gatto, if I'm not mistaken. And he very interestingly comments that this very structured school system has come from the Prussian models of the 19th century. And it has been apparently, welcomed with open arms by US and all other countries, So what we see is essentially something that we had abhorred, Hitler and his, structure. But those same Prussian models is what we are following in school. And that makes, that's the reason I feel why the student body is bored, the teachers are bored, everyone looks so bored all the time. So that is why I never feel a class can be structured because, again, the nature of my subject, you see, English, is virtually tied up with all disciplines, whether it is science or psychology or sociology, history, geography, because literature lends itself. So if I structure my lesson, of course, I will address what is required, in the exam, which is also a conversation that can be had separately, whether these examinations are true markers of a child's potential, which I don't agree all the time. But so I go, of course, prepared with the lesson and all that, and I think about how to make it interesting. But there is this practice which you must be familiar with, very familiar, and it's a very common practice, which is a Socratic discussion. A topic is given, and now let's brainstorm. Tell me what you think about it. And it works beautifully because, children don't like to be just kept as captive audience listening to one person droning on and on. Sometimes I get bored of my own voice. So when they get an opportunity to speak, I have noticed sometimes even children who are otherwise extremely held back, shy, after watching for a few class, even they have something to share. Because the first thing I tell them that this is a safe space. Nothing is going out from this classroom. Okay? Unless you don't carry it out. I am not going to do it. And we are all friends here, so nobody should feel threatened about anything. So if there's something you need to talk about, you speak. So, for example, when I was teaching them Macbeth, which is the drama which is prescribed by the ISC in the 11th and 12th, I remember one student spoke about, and it's a very common thing. It's not that he said something which was totally out of the box, but I quite appreciated it. He spoke about the corporate warfare which happens and how, these wives often get involved in it. And to what purpose and effect. I knew he was coming from a place of knowledge. Of course, he didn't divulge the players, but knowing his background, I knew it was coming from a place that he was familiar with. And he was talking about how destructive that could be over a vision. Which is Macbeth's fatal flaw. So this is how, the discussion works in my class. So I think that practice has served me very well. When I begin a topic and I leave it with the students, and then they start talking about their experiences, probably what they have read. And of course, finally, we again come back to what needs to be done to write a good answer for the exam. But these discussions help because when the council says that we need a part of analysis and heightened answer component, all this gets in, that part of the answer. So, and it also, later they've told me, it's not that I have given them much information. The very fact that they heard from so many people, they say that we feel enriched. They talk about books. They talk about cinema. They talk about music. So nothing is a no in my class. They can talk about anything that I can handle. Yes, of course, if I see something of a personal trauma coming out or something, then of course a qualified person should intervene. But again, the very fact that they think that the class is safe to speak, they can trust the teacher, the friends, I think works for them, because by the time they reach 11th and 12th, friendships have been forged. I know there are a lot of undercurrents there too, with peer pressure, bullying, image, body shaming, etc., etc.
Yes.
But still also there is this fierce protectiveness because I suppose each understands from where the other is coming from. And if there is one who is striking that discordant note, that bully or that person who's insensitive, even he gets marked in the manner in which he is speaking. So that kind of helps. And this has helped throughout. So often the discussions carry even after class. So they come to say, okay, we didn't finish. So could we now finish it? So I said, yeah, sure, but it's my lunch break and I don't want to give up on that. I need my time too. So they said, okay, fine. Then later, I say, yeah, later when I come back to class, we can continue. So that's how it works.
Great. So I think you've given an answer to the next question. That is, if I ask you to sum up your teaching style in just one sentence, what would it be? And I think what you said just now is like you believe in
Yes.
Socratic discussions, right? That is what
Yeah.
you believe in. That's what you've been practicing. And I think that's an
Yes.
amazing way to kind of help children, the ones who are just spectators in the class. They are kind of scared or frightened to speak. It allows them also to speak because you are able to create a safe kind of an environment in the classroom. So that's an amazing style. So every class has a few students who struggle quietly. Like you
Yeah.
just spoke about a child who was struggling emotionally, but then you found out what exactly happened.
Yeah.
So how do you connect with students who struggle acad- academically, not emotionally, because you've already mentioned? So, how do you connect with them, not just as learners, but as young people finding their way in that
Yeah.
space?
So, see, academically, people struggling are for different reasons. So, just instead of just looking at the marks, most of the times I try to go back. I speak to the class teacher. Maybe if the class teacher is not aware,
Mm,
then the headmistress or the vice principal or the principal, whoever is there in the hierarchy. And
mm,
finally, if they feel that the counselor knows something that we need to know. So, what has happened now is I think that this not doing well in class is probably a manifestation of a deeper malaise. It just can't be that the child is dull or can't cope or something,
yeah,
because that would be very cruel, to dub any child as dull. Because
mm,
I don't think any human being is dull. Probably
absolutely.
he just doesn't find interest
Yes.
in what is happening around him. Give him something that he's truly passionate about, he'll shine well.
Mm,
Again, coming back to when I was saying the Prussian model and John Gatto's essay,
mm,
he says that this is the biggest problem in our school system, and I'll come back to your question when you asked about what do I do with the children who don't perform well academically. Now,
mhm,
when you have created such a regimented school system, where
mm,
the child is being, his caliber or his potential is being measured by the marks that he's getting,
yes,
which I think many sensible people will agree are not a reflection of the child's potential.
absolutely,
We are doing more damage than good, you know.
absolutely.
So when we say you are academically weak, you are academically strong, I mean, like what academics we are talking about? Because this entire rubric and marking system, again, I feel is to make the job of the evaluator easy. So I have a blueprint and I'm following that. So there's a range given. 90 to 100 is A, 80 to 90 is B, and all that. I mean, like, you can't fix a child into a bracket and say, okay, fine, this is where you belong. Okay, so when I feel, and again, I speak for my subject, I don't know, maybe the child
Yeah,
is doing very well in some other subject.
true.
I often try to get to the root of the problem, that where exactly is this emanating from. Some say very clearly, again, I respect them for it, that, we don't find interest in studying literature. Honestly, it doesn't, it's not our, like physics was never my cup of tea. So I
Right.
can totally empathize if they don't want to read Wordsworth and Shelley and Shakespeare. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so, and they themselves come out with a, problem. They diagnose. So they say, and probably we give very little time and then last minute study and therefore the dismal performance. Then there are students who say that, no, we have studied, but during the examination we blank out.
Mm,
Okay. And we can't write. So then again, I ask them, what makes you blank out? Did you not have enough rest? And most of the times, we find that either the child has stressed too much, has not rested well, has not eaten well, or has been busy with sports or other activities till 2 days prior to exam. And then
mm,
again, that panic strikes in and they
yeah.
try to study, keeping up in the nights. But finally, it does not help.
Yeah.
So now you see, I am a very small cog in the wheel. These problems are known to all. But
Mm,
unfortunately, again, I'm going back to our model of schooling, which probably, and now, with social media, everything has to be put up on the website, everything has to be advertised. Our children are doing so well here, so well there. they're doing it, but everyone pays a price,
Yeah.
So there is a damage happening also. I'm not saying that academics should be the center of everything. No, for holistic development, everything should happen.
Yeah.
But I really have no answer to how a school year can be designed, and probably you will know it better because you have been in admin position, so that there is a balance, that when they are playing, they are not worrying about tests. When they are writing the test, they are not worrying about a match that
Yeah.
needs to be played the next day and has to be won also. Because if I just go and play and come back losing, well, that's not doing much for my ego or whatever.
Mm.
So, most, as I said, I don't think any child is dull, but somewhere something is bothering.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what is the reason the child is not being able to do well? So, I mentioned two to you now. One is panic, and the other is lack of interest.
Yeah.
Those two probably we can still handle, in the sense that lack of interest, child, you have to do well. It's going to go into your mark sheet. Now, what to do? You can always, leave the subject after you leave school. But till you are in school, please, I know. So I tell them, see, even I suffered math and physics and chemistry. They went above my heads, but we did it.
Yeah.
And council was not so kind in our times. We had to do it till 10th or 12th or whatever it took. Now you can
Yes.
drop all those, in grade
Yes.
8 and all.
True.
Although that's not a good idea at all,
Mm.
to drop science and math in class 8. But
Mm.
I said that people are trying to make lives. This is also another problem I face, with this poor performance.
Mm.
Everyone is bending backwards to make things easy for people,
Mm.
as a result of which there is no resilience left. So they expect that if I'm not doing well, then know that the problem being with me, it must be something with the syllabus, it must be something with the teacher or with my parents or with the school or with everyone. But
They start looking for
so
excuses.
they start looking for excuses. They start looking
Yeah.
for reasons
Reason.
outside themselves.
Yes. True.
Outside themselves.
True.
And that is where I try to bring them back. That again, stop playing victim. Because you can't do this. So next time when you go out to work, you don't like your boss, my boss doesn't like me, my colleagues are not good. When is this going to end? Somewhere you have to say, what can I do to make things better?
Yes.
So this is how I try counseling them. See, again, Indrani, to be very honest, my students, by God's grace, again, the lot I teach are very bright. So I really didn't have much of a struggle with people, and probably that you'll get a much better perspective from teachers who work, and I have huge respect for them, particularly municipal schools. Where father probably is an alcoholic, mother works in
Oh, yes.
people's homes, poverty, lack of space, no access to devices. Those are children who I feel are real soldiers, and when they do well, that is truly an achievement.
True.
Not children who I teach, I'm not taking anything away from them, but they have been born into privilege. They
Mm.
get many things that many children don't have access to.
Yes. They have access to a
Yes.
lot of resources, which other children at the rural schools and all those
No.
children are deprived.
Even in urban centers, you see the schools that at the municipal schools, ordinary vernacular medium or whatever,
Mm.
there. But look at their turnout. They are so proud to go to school.
Yeah.
They look so neat and clean and all, because probably that's the only place where they, get that break from that grim, bleak life that they otherwise lead. Our children are traveling, they are, and they are blessed with parents who
That's
have the
true.
resources,
True.
so they do well.
Right. They are a privileged lot, actually.
They are a privileged
They're a
lot.
privileged
And
lot.
that's a blessing. They should be humble about it. That's what I keep telling you. It was an accident of birth that you are here, and there are some of your age who are cleaning washrooms.
True. Absolutely true.
Yes.
So that's a wonderful answer. And okay, so now it's time to move from the classroom to a bigger canvas. Now, you've had the opportunity to teach in some of the best schools across different cities, which gives you a panoramic view of the Indian education system. So, in your opinion, what is the single biggest challenge schools are facing or other students are facing? And if you had the chance, what change would you like to bring in and how would you do it?
I have taught in West Bengal State Board, and I've taught in CBSE and ICSE and IC. So each curriculum has been different, but this, uniform or the whatever is common in all the curriculum. And I've spoken to teachers who teach IB also in my school,
Mm.
and they all say that all the teachers across all curriculum boards, everything, they say that there is very little teacher and student agency, in designing the curriculum.
Mm.
So, the biggest challenge, which I feel, and I mentioned it to you earlier, is that when the curriculum is not very contextual,
Mm.
they are studying it because it's part of the curriculum.
Yes, they have to.
But they have to, they have no choice. When that becomes a little contextual. Now, how does one make that contextual? Because every city, every neighborhood, everyone will have their own problems.
Yes.
So I think what the UGC has done now with giving autonomy to colleges.
Mm.
Likewise, if they can even identify school clusters, I feel maybe it's a pipe dream, very, very utopian. And if they can give them autonomy, and
Mm.
have, I remember I used to hear this from my father and even from my grandfather. My grandfather was in school when India was still not independent. But one good thing, however much, he berate the British, I don't support them at all. I like my independence. But one good thing was my grandfather was studying in Hindu school in Calcutta, which is one of the very reputed schools in those days.
Mm.
He used to say Hindu school are here, childish school. So whatever. So they had all British schoolmasters. Only Bengali and Sanskrit would be taught by the Indian teachers.
Okay.
So Hindu school was a Bengali medium school. But
Mm.
most of the masters, particularly science and all, because good textbooks were available largely in English.
Yes, true.
So, in fact, their English was better than us, the diction and all that. Anyway, so he used to say one regular thing was that every year, once in every term, there would be an inspector with his team who would come.
Okay.
And he was not somebody who could be bribed or, his hands could be pleased. And he would give a report to the education, department. And depending on the kind of work that the school was doing, and obviously everyone wanted to put their best foot forward on that day. But by and large, he would get an idea because he would be having one-on-one conversations with students, teachers, everything. More like, what in modern times we say audit.
Mm.
But they would get to classrooms and they would see it. So if the school is not making it to the mark, then it would come under the scanner. So now the boards, etc., give affiliations, but after that, what is happening? Nobody knows. Okay, you have a chemistry teacher teaching biology, a Hindi teacher teaching English. So then, how does one expect that the child will remain engaged? The
Yeah.
child may come from a Mufasal town, but the child is not an idiot. You know, he knows exactly, what is happening in his classroom. And I also go for evaluation. And when I go for evaluation, when I see some of the answers, I feel like crying because they have been taught complete rubbish. It's not coming from, the child's head.
Mm.
So who are these people who are teaching them? Who is accountable to who? And
Mm.
then I'm often told that if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So if the school is
Absolutely.
not willing to pay, then obviously we'll get substandard teachers. Then
Yes.
what are we doing? We are doing a
Exactly.
disservice to the younger generation who we expect to be at the helm of affairs
Mm.
in our future, but
Mm.
they are so badly trained. And schooling and education are two different things.
Mm.
Schooling is one, education is another. But nothing is happening.
Right.
Neither are they being schooled nor is education happening. So if probably, if they can mark schools, reward them. Now, who will do that? I don't know whether it's the Human Resource Development Ministry or whether it is the individual boards or, organizations which run different kind of schools. Because somewhere, I suppose the shift happened as soon as we began to call our students customers.
Hmm.
We cannot treat education, I know again it's utopian, idealistic. Uh, it cannot be like a business. We are not running a grocery store.
Hmm.
And I remember somebody saying this, a very well-known public figure. He had said, glamorize the profession, make it at par with the IAS and IPS, and make it competitive. Let's attract the best mind. Let them go through the process of elimination, selection, call it whatever, and then remunerate them handsomely. But let us have the best people in this particular workforce so that the children who are now going to grow up and get into further research, development, studies are completely equipped. And I feel school is the first place from where the child begins his journey. Now, if that is weak, then the foundation itself is weak.
Right. True. And
Yeah,
once that gets ruined, it is very difficult to kind of make any
absolutely.
repairs. And
Absolutely.
what you said is absolutely right. And I do agree. I feel that once the schools get affiliated, even though the council says that they're going to send inspectors for inspection, but that doesn't happen. So I feel I still strongly believe in, the council sending, inspectors, and this should happen periodically. And the school should
Yes,
also be in a position to provide data to show how the school has progressed. So all
absolutely.
that I mean, those documents are very important. That kind of data is very important so that the school shows that, yes, this is where we were 5 years back and this is where we are. Now, whether that
Yes,
periodic inspection happens every year or 2 years or 5 years, that's absolutely fine. But the school should be able to show progress. And that's the reason, why, like you said, there are so many schools where the biology teacher teaches physics because the biology teacher may have had physics in graduation first and second year. But that is
yes.
not where the teacher has specialized in. And it is happening. There are examples. And as a result, the performance is again not as good as it should be. And I completely
See,
agree.
again, because the remuneration is not at par with, let's say, a corporate industry or whatever.
Even
Anyway, we
government
don't get
schools, even
even
government
government
schools,
schools.
they're highly
Absolutely.
paid. I remember
Yes,
the school I was leading, there was a government school in the same campus, and their
Mhm.
salary was much way higher than ours. But if you see
Yes.
the schools ask the teachers, they used to really work hard, but then they used to always compare. Look at the way, in fact, I had a very good math teacher, and he left. He used to teach mathematics in grades 11 and 12, and he left ICSE and he joined the government school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so why not? So I feel salary and remuneration is again very important. And once you pay them high, you expect from them, and then they're bound to
Absolutely.
do a good job.
No, and you hire with care because you will get
Yes,
quality people, if you are
absolutely.
paying well.
Yeah,
The problem is again, I always will make it competitive. Let it be like a competitive exams. Let teachers write the exam only because we don't get the best. I'm sorry to say that the best of minds in science don't come into school teaching. Let's
no,
be very honest.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they would rather go into research development teaching in universities, colleges, and all that. So
Hmm,
why are we not there? The question is then why are these people not coming?
not coming.
So
Yes,
that's why glamorize it. Make
glamorize.
it,
And that's the reason why, that's the objective behind this podcast. Let people
yes,
know that this is a beautiful profession. Otherwise, this is graduate
yes,
fading. Nobody wants to take up teaching. It is all because of the salary. What you said is
absolutely.
absolutely right. Great.
No,
So,
because that archetype of, that teacher who's noble with a jhola in his, that is gone.
yeah,
Doctors and teachers, while doctors are minting money in their own way, the
yeah.
teacher has to be noble and all that. It doesn't
Mm.
work. Let's be practical.
Yes.
But at the same time, we want people who are passionate, people who are
Mm.
invested to come in and do a
Yes.
good job so that our future is protected.
Protected, secured.
Yeah.
True. So, Bipasha, that was such a profound reflection on your journey as a teacher. And now that we have explored some of those deeper reflections, through these 5 questions, let's lighten the mood a little. So, our next part of the podcast is what I like to call the chit chat rapid fire round. So, quick series of fun, 10 spontaneous questions which are designed basically to bring out your personality. So, there are no long responses required, short and quick answers, just your first instinct. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, the first question is, what's the first book you recommend to anyone who says, I don't like reading?
It's tough because the list is too long. I can't give you one name, but if I have to, probably I don't like reading. I would say Roald Dahl. Any book, pick up and read. Or Tintin. Asterix, Asterix. Asterix,
Wonderful.
hands down.
Oh, I love Asterix.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Asterix.
Okay. Now, second question. If you had to pick one Shakespeare character to sit in your class, who would it be?
The Three Witches of Bombay. You
Okay.
have to have them. Or Shylock for that matter.
Oh, Shylock. I can never forget Merchant of Venice. Okay.
Yes.
A single word your students would use to describe you.
Single word I don't know, but they have said that your bark is worse than your bite.
Okay. Okay. Right. Next. Adaptability is your mantra, right? So, what's tougher or trickier? A sudden timetable shuffle or a surprise substitution in a subject outside your comfort zone?
Uh, I think timetable jump.
Okay. One line you often find yourself repeating in class.
Brevity is the soul of it. I don't practice it.
Okay. One habit you believe every student should build, no matter what subject they study.
One habit
Yeah.
or one, okay, uh, not being, honest in whatever way. Integrity, yes.
Integrity.
It's
Okay.
not a habit, it's a character trait.
Yeah. Character.
Integrity.
Okay. Fine. The most unusual place where inspiration for teaching has struck you.
From classroom, from these weak students, from these ones who are quiet. Suddenly, when you see that, light in their eyes, that is when you feel that, okay, fine, it's a good day's job.
Wow. Okay. Next question. How do you usually recharge yourself after a busy day of teaching?
I used to read copiously once
Okay.
upon a time. I still read, not so much, but I've become addicted to reels. I think I need to detoxify myself. I keep watching reels, but well, that's not something I would recommend to anyone. But reading is
Okay.
reading.
One teacher from your school days you would love to thank on this podcast.
Sister Doris.
Wow. I love her.
Yes.
Oh my God. Such
Yeah,
a sweetheart.
Sister Doris. I don't know if she's still around. I hope she
She used
is.
to be in XLRI. She was a faculty, and I'm not too sure whether she's still there or
Okay,
I,
okay, but she was such a dynamic, God, full of energy.
energy and very smart.
Very smart.
Very smart.
She, you remember we had that 3 day course in school.
Orient.
We
Oh,
stayed
yes.
back,
I can
orientation.
never forget. She was the only one
Yeah,
who did it. And I think we were the only batch, right?
we were the only batch, and how maturely she handled us, the
Oh
giggly
my God.
teenagers. Absolutely. I mean, like, she had my respect for it forever.
Swear. Same here. Same here. Okay. And the last question, if not teaching, then what?
If not teaching, probably writing. I really seriously want to take up writing. I
You
think I've come
should.
to that age and stage
You should,
that I
because
want to write.
you should, Bipasha. You know why? Because I do read some of your those short write-ups or articles, on Facebook, and they are so beautiful. And when I read, I can actually visualize.
Well, you've been very kind. Thank you.
They are so beautiful.
So,
So you should get into writing, and I would love to read your book. Okay,
yes.
so Bipasha, that was such a fun round. Thank you for playing. And giving us a glimpse of the lighter side of Bipasha. So before I proceed to the last segment, I have two questions for you since I'm really curious. Okay, so the first question is the story behind Bipasha, the bullshit detector.
Uh, many, I These are things I attribute to myself in vanity, that, I'm a Sagittarian, and one hallmark of a Sagittarian is that Sagittarians are brutally honest and sometimes quite a pain, because that's not being very diplomatic at all times. And also the fact is, but this is one thing I'm not kind of joking about, because it's not something that you need to trivialize. Uh, I think it happens with age and experience. People become very, very intuitive, you know. And when that intuition sets in, then detecting nonsense becomes very easy. It's not that all the time you can speak out, because maybe it's not proper,
Yeah.
but you know that there is no point speaking, so you keep quiet. But the fact remains is that everyone can observe. Nobody is such a fool that, you can, like Abraham Lincoln had said, that you can't fool all the people all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I give it to everyone. It's not that it's very unique about me. It's only that probably because of a very strong upbringing I had. When I say strong, I mean my parents never stopped me from speaking my mind. And that I feel is a huge blessing.
Yeah.
I may not have had the kind of wealth I see around when I was growing up, but I had that strong foundation of courage and honesty, which
Yeah.
was inculcated by my parents and subsequently even by my husband. Like, he never ever said you can't do this because you're a woman or I'm a man. That equation does not exist in our household, for which again I say I'm blessed. It's not something that the entire, women folk of India can vouch for. We know what kind of things that happen.
Mm.
So that is why, because I've never been held back, I could always speak my mind out. So bullshit detecting also became easy, because if it is bullshit, it's bullshit. And you can't define it, or you can't couch it in any other gentler word. But
Mm.
again, having said that, I'm also responsible and aware of the fact that I am only responsible for what I say. I have no control over the consequences of my words. So I usually weigh my words before I speak, because I don't want to again hurt people, make anyone feel small. I always feel, as a teacher, as a human being, my job is to elevate, not to elimination. So even if it is bullshit, it can be told to the person that, look, this is not working. Let's think of some other way of.
Right.
But nobody should go back feeling small or hurt or
Yeah.
inside.
Right. Right.
That's not nice.
Everybody has emotions, right?
Absolutely.
Great. And the second question is, I remember seeing a picture of yours on Facebook with iconic common man, Sri R.K. Lakshman. And the tagline
Yes.
was, the common factor is common.
Yes.
So what do you think is common between the common man and Bipasha?
So I'm perpetually bemused like the common man. When I see a world playing out around me, there are many things I really can't put my finger on. That why are certain things happening? And okay, coming down to common man, because I am a common person. If I take the gender part of it away, I'm a very, very common person. I have no claims to greatness or anything. I'm as common as the common man. Price rise scares me. Uh, you know, anything when politics of the land is going amok, or global geopolitics, whatever, I get concerned. So if it is affecting me at my very micro level, I am worried. So that way, I'm very, very, very much the common man. And I always felt that R.K. Lakshman's cartoons featuring common man was slice of my reality. So there was a time when he would come out with this on a daily basis in Times of India.
Times of India,
I
yes.
remember whether I could read the paper or not, I would zoom down first on that,
Mm.
because everything was what is happening in the world around us and how it is impacting most of
Yeah.
us. So, yeah.
Right.
So that's why common man is very dear.
Okay. Thanks, Bipasha. You've killed my
Yeah.
curiosity, and now I'm relieved. I feel so relieved. Okay. So, after that quick sprint of spontaneity, it's time to slow down and move into the last segment, which I call My Teaching Mirror. So, it's a space for reflection, but with a difference, where we step back and think about teaching not just as a profession, but a journey of meaning using a metaphor. So, in this segment, I would want you to choose a metaphor. It can be anything that represents your life as a teacher, and then talk about why you chose it and how it connects with your life as a teacher or philosophy of teaching.
So, if I have to compare myself for metaphor, I would say a sponge,
And so,
because a sponge,
a
I
sponge,
absorb.
right?
Yeah.
Great.
Now, sponge, because as I said, that when I began my journey, I realized that I have to keep up with the times.
Mm,
That is non-negotiable,
mm.
because children will always be 10 steps ahead of us.
Yes, right.
Yeah, because as per Gibran's poetry, I mean, like, they live in a world that we can never inhabit.
Mm,
And if I am to kind of be their mentor or their guide, again, what I had said earlier, that there has to be reasons enough why they will want to even listen to me even for 2 minutes.
mm,
And for that, I use this metaphor because I'm always trying to soak up. It's not only academic or something very, very, bookish or whatever, even from life.
mm,
I remember as a new teacher, uh, now when I look back, at my younger self, and I'm always very kind when I look back on my younger self, because I did not know better. Now I hope I know better than that, so I can do better. Again, Maya Angelou here. So when I look back then, I see that at times probably I was very impatient,
mm.
you know. Uh, Maybe even insensitive. I don't know how the children had taken it. They were kind, that's a different matter. Credit goes to them. But so when I'm soaking up, I'm also learning, because I'm seeing teachers around me, good ones, the ones who have walked their talk, uh, educators from around the world. When I'm reading up, when I'm listening to views, and that is why I feel reading, has helped me, because I have not always been able to physically travel or meet these people or speak to them. But even when I hear, it's so humbling, and everything that is happening. So, one thing again, what I do in class, and this is why this work of a sponge works. So, if I have soaked up what is happening around, I try to run it by in the classroom to also check whether the children and I are on the same page. And if there is a kind of a difference of opinion, I would want to again know more.
Yeah.
Like, where is that gap happening?
Yeah.
So I think a sponge would be a metaphor for me, because I personally feel that I'll be a lifelong learner.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll have to learn. And in fact, a very strong image suddenly came to me when I walked into one of the libraries, that, my God, there are so many books here. I don't think I have so many years in my life. So that much I do not.
Beautiful.
So
It's such a pleasure listening to you. Excellent.
thank you.
Too good. So, thank you so much, Bipasha, for
Thank
joining
you,
us in the
Indrani.
Teachers Lounge today, and your reflections on adaptability, work life balance, and the deeper meaning of teaching, and then counseling your students. All these responses have been truly inspiring, and conversations like this remind all of us that education, like you said, is not just about academics, it's about shaping lives with honesty, with resilience, with empathy and love. And I think all your responses, truly reflected these beautiful qualities. So, to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in. If today's episode made you nostalgic, brought a smile, or a beautiful memory of your own classroom experiences, do share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and family, because these stories of teachers deserve to travel far and wide. I'm your host, Indrani. And until next time, remember, every classroom is a space where knowledge meets heart. Stay curious, Stay inspired and keep celebrating the change makers of education. Bye.